I still remember the first time I celebrated my Valentine's Day with my boyfriend.
I still remember when I first interested in K-pop.
I don't remember anything.
Oh no! I forgot my keys! Ayah, my wallet! Oh, my bottle! I still remember the first day when I first met Peggy. And since then, she never called my name right. Hi, Jingqi! Can you guess our topic? What? No, right? Our topic is memories! So, my name is Peggy, this is
Jingqi, Jojo, Xiaoxu.
I think we're missing one more. No, Hui Ling! What is memory? Memory is the retention of information or experience over time. There are three important processes of memory. First, we have encoding, which is taking in information. And we encode the sights and sounds of the particular incident. Next, we have storage. We store all these information into our head in a mental storehouse. Next, lastly, we have retrieval. When we retrieve something for a later purpose, which is such as when we recall someone that was in that particular incident. So these are the three main things that we will talk about today.
The first step in memory is encoding. This is a process which information gets into our memory storage. In our daily life, we are encoding information into our memory from others. For example, watching a movie, reading a book, and talking with friends. Some of the encoding processes require of effort including attention, deep processing, elaboration, and the use of mental imagery. There are three types of attention. The first one is selective attention, the second is divided attention, and the last one sustained attention. Selective attention involves focusing on a specific aspect of experience while ignores others. Attention is selective because our brain resources is limited. They cannot attend to everything. For example, when you are dating with your boyfriend or girlfriend on a Valentine's Day, you will never notice the people whom you pass as you are walking along the street. The second one is divided attention. It involves focusing on more than one activity simultaneously. If you are listening to music when you are studying, you are dividing your attention. It can be multitasking too, which means dividing attention does not specifically only between two activities, but among three or more. Besides, divided attention decreases encoding because it impedes your ability to pay adequate attention to your information. Sustained attention, also called vigilance. This is the ability to maintain attention to a selected stimulus for a prolonged period. For example, paying close attention to your notes while studying for an exam. Another factor that affects memory is the level of processing, which refers to a continuum from shallow to intermediate to deep. With deeper processing produces better memory. In shallow processing level, we analyze the physical and perceptual features. In the immediate processing level, stimulus is recognized and labeled. In the deep processing level, semantic, symbolic, meaningful characteristics are used. Giving a scenario, we are asked to memorize a list of words, including the word that. Shallow processing includes noting the physical feature of the word, which means the shape of the letters in the word that. Intermediate processing level involves giving a label to the word as in reading the word that. The deepest level of processing involves thinking about the meaning of word that and about your own father, his face and his personality and etc. One is elaboration. Elaboration refers to the formation of a number of different connections around a stimulus at any given level of memory encoding. Elaboration can occur at any level of processing. It's like creating a huge spider web to connect new information and everything one already knows. In the case of the word that, a person can elaborate on that even at a shallow level. For example, the shape of the letter D in that looks like an upside down of P letter. At a deep level of processing, a person might think about various fathers he or she knows. Therefore, the more elaboration in the processing, the better the memory will be. Besides, self-reference, which is relating material to your own experience, is another effective way to elaborate on information. Drawing mental links between aspects of your own life and new information. One of the most powerful ways to make memories distinctive is to use mental imagery. Mental imagery entails visualizing material that we want to remember in ways that create a lasting portrait. For example, we always wonder how can a waiter remember all the food that we order at one time without writing down. However, when the meals arrives, everything is exactly right. How they do it? Asked to share his secret and he explained, I always try to remember the person's face and imagine him eating the food that he ordered. Thus, when we use imagery to remember, we have two potential avenues by which we can retrieve information.
Okay, now let's look at memory retrieval. Memory retrieval refers to the process to getting information out of the memory storage where we store memory. Memory storage is there, but how do we get it out to be able to use the information? The answer is retrieval queues. Tendency to have better recall for the things at the beginning of the list or at the end of the list because their particular position. The ability to remember the beginning of the list is called primacy effect. On the other hand, the ability to recall items at the end of the list is called recency effect. Retrieval queue is stimuli for the queue that help people get information from certain memory. As many of your classmates from middle or junior high school as you remember. When you run out of names, think about the activities you were involved in during school years. The success in retrieval information also depends on the retrieval task you set for yourself. Imagine you were shopping in a grocery store when you run into a female acquaintance, although you realize that you know her, but you cannot remember her name or where you knew her from. You start to look around hoping for some clue as to her identity. You look into her cart and see a pack of juice. An image pops up in your head of your brother drinking one of those juice at his last soccer practice. Then you suddenly remember that the person talking to you named Amy, and her brother plays on the same soccer team as yours. There are two types of memory retrieval. Recall is when the individual has to retrieve previously learned information. So fill in the blank or an essay test requires recall. On the other hand, recognition is when the individual only has to identify learned items. This is like a multiple choice question and matching test questions where it requires you to recognize the answer. Encoding specificity principle, which states that retrieval improves when conditions of encoding. In many instances, people remember better when they attempt to recall information in the same context in when they learn it. This is a process referred to as context-dependent memory. Example, taking a test at the same seat. These are the special cases for retrieval: autobiographical memories, emotional memories, repressed memories, eyewitness testimony. Autobiographic memory is a special form of episodic memory consisting of a person's recollections of his or her life experiences. So basically, it is recollections and experiences of an individual. There is discovery about autobiographic memory is the reminiscent bulb effects adults remember more events that occur during their adolescent and early adulthood. Autobiographic memory is categorized into three broad areas that are lifetime periods, general events, and event-specific knowledge. Lifetime periods are composed general knowledge about a teen time in an individual's life, such as the period you spent at school. For general events are more encompasses single representations of repeated events, such as a trip you took with your friends after you graduated from high school. The most concrete level is event-specific knowledge. It is vividly detailed information about individual events that are often in the form of visual image. For example, post-graduation trip. You might remember the exhilarating experience you had the first time. Flashbulb memory is particularly vivid recall of emotionally significant events for both good and bad. Having a flashbulb memory of your wedding or when you first loved. Negative emotions in flashbulb memories are when you're remembering where and what you were doing after hearing about the death of a family member, or remembering the time, place, or date of your car accident you were in. For traumatic events, its imagery and intense nature of event heightens accuracy of information and engrains it. Examples of traumatic events include children experience kidnapping, war, natural disaster. Repressed memories are memories have been unconsciously blocked due to the memory being associated with a high traumatic or painful memory. This also can be considered a special case of motivated forgetting. Example, childhood sexual abuse. Eyewitness testimonies may contain errors, and faulty memories in criminal matters have especially serious sequences. However, it could be the closing gap in the interrogation process.
Now I will talk about memory storage. Memory storage refers to encompass how information is retained over time and how is it represented in memory. Memory storage refers to three separate systems. They are sensory memory, short-term memory, and long-term memory. What is sensory memory? Sensory memory allows individuals to recall great detail about a complex stimulus immediately following its presentation. There are two types of sensory memory, including echoing memory and iconic memory. Echoing memory refers to the initiative of a sound which is retained for up to several seconds. Echoic memory is capable of holding a large amount of information but only 3 to 4 seconds. Iconic memory refers to visual sensory memory which is retained only for about 1/4 of a second. One of the times that iconic memory is noticeable is when we see light trails. This is the phenomenon when bright lights move rapidly at night and you perceive them as forming a trail. This is the image that is represented in iconic memory. For example, two children are playing hide and seek. One of them hides in a closet. Here's the other way walk by. She jumps out and screams, then jumps back in the closet. The image of her jumping out is now an iconic memory in the mind of the other child. Now we talk about short-term memory. Short-term memory is a limited capacity memory system in which information is usually retained for only 30 seconds. It is limited but it can store information for a longer time. Two ways to improve short-term memory are chunking and rehearsal. Chunking is a process by which one can expand his or her ability to remember things in the short term. It is also a process by which a person organizes material into meaningful groups. Rehearsal refers to the conscious repetition of information. Rehearsal is often verbal and giving the information of an inner voice. Working memory refers to cognitive system with a limited capacity that is responsible for temporarily holding information available for processing. It is important for reasoning and the guidance of decision making and behavior. Long-term memory refers to the storage of information over an extended period. For example, if you can remember something that happened more than just a few moments ago, whether it occurred just hours ago or decades earlier, then it is a long-term memory. Long-term memory usually divided into two types. Explicit memory is known as declarative memory and implicit memory is known as non-declarative memory. Explicit memories is included all of the memories that are available in consciousness. Explicit memory can be further divided into episodic memory, specific events, and semantic memory, knowledge about the world. There are two major types of explicit memory. Episodic memory. These are your long-term memories of specific events, such as what you did yesterday or your high school graduation. Semantic memory is these are memories of facts, concepts, names, and other general knowledge information. Implicit memories are those that are mostly unconscious. This type of memory includes procedural memory, which involves memory of body movement and how to use objects in the environment. How to drive a car or use a computer are examples of procedural memories. Now I will talk about how memory is organized. The ability to access and retrieve information from long-term memory allows us to actually use these memories to make decisions, interact with others, and solve problems. But how is information organized in memory? The specific way information is organized in long-term memory is not well understood, but we know that these memories are arranged in groups. Clustering is used to organize related information into groups. Information that is categorized becomes easier to remember and recall. For example, now we group these few words: desk, apple, bookshelf, red table, green pineapple, purple chair, yellow. Spend a few seconds reading them. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now try to recall and list these words. How did you group these words when you listed them? Most people will list using 3 different categories: color, furniture, and fruit. One way of thinking about memory organization is known as the semantic network model. This model suggests that certain triggers activate associated memories. A memory of a specific place might activate memories about related things that have occurred in that location. For example, thinking about a particular campus building might trigger memories of attending classes, studying, and socializing with peers.
After studying memory encoding, memory retrieval, and memory storage, now we are going to see what is forgetting. Why do we forget things? It is very common that we have forgotten something happened or where we put our things. However, usually people have problems with remembering instead of forgetting because we actually did not even encode the information properly into long-term memory at the first place. Thus, the real problem of forgetting is the matter of retrieval failure instead of encoding failure. These causes included interference, decay, tip of the tongue phenomenon, remembering or forgetting when to do something. The first one is proactive interference. Proactive interference occurs when material that was learned earlier disrupts the recall of material learned later. Pro means forward. For example, I have a friend named Claire 10 years ago, and last night I met someone named Clarence, and so I might call my new friend Claire because of the old information interferes with the retrieval of new information. The second type of interference is retroactive. Retroactive occurs when material learned later disrupts the material retrieval of information learned earlier. Retro means backward. For example, I recently met a new friend named Cherry. Then when I send a text to my old friend named Sherry, I might mistakenly address her to Cherry because the new information interferes with the old information. Next, let us look at the second causes of forgetting. The next is decay theory. Decay theory is a concern about passage of time. When we learn something new, a neurochemical memory trace forms. But over time, this trace integrates, which means the memories fade. However, we might still remember some memories under right retrieval conditions. For example, I have not think of one of my primary school friends for a long time, but if I got back to the same setting, which means the same situation and the same things happen, I might remember a lot of memories and experiences of the friend and me. In addition, the next one is the tip of the tongue phenomenon, as known as TOT. TOT is a type of effortful retrieval that occurs when we are confident that we know something but cannot quite retrieve characteristics of the word. For example, we can remember the first word of the whole sentence, but we couldn't remember what is the word. Like when you want to say Olympus, but you cannot remember the full word Olympus, you can only remember the O. This is due to we do not store all the information about a particular topic or experience in one way. In conclusion, all of the above are the reasons why we forget things. Yet, forgetting is not a bad thing actually, because when sad things happen, we would just wish to forget it as soon as possible. So here are some tips from the science of memory to help you strengthen your memory for studies and for life. The steps are organizing, encoding, rehearsing, and retrieving course content. Organize. Before you start memorizing, make sure your notes are accurate and well organized. Review your notes and catch potential errors and ambiguities. Experiment with different organizational techniques such as mind map, timeline, and flashcards. Next, we have encode. Once you ensure that your notes are accurate and well organized, it is time to memorize. Firstly, pay attention to your topic as you memorize. Staying focused on one thing is crucial, so avoid being distracted. Next, process the information. Think about the material meaningfully and process it deeply. Then elaborate on the points and make associations to your life. Also, use imagery to help double encode the information, such as the mental picture of a computer screen, to help you recall the concept of working memory. Lastly, encode early and often. Take every chance to encode, be it while reading or in discussions. This will give you the advantage to create associations to your course material. Then we have rehearse. While learning material initially, relate it to your life and attend to examples that help you do so.
Rehearse the material from time to time to solidify it in memory. Rewrite, type, or retype your notes using your muscle memories would help solidify the information in your memory. Talk to people about what you have learned and how it is important to real life. Make a conversation out of it. This will not only help you have a better understanding of the material, but also gives it meaning to you, which would then store the information as long-term memory. Test and ask yourself questions. Look at the information from different angles and question yourself. When in doubt, you know the information learned has not solidified yet. Repeat this until you understand the material fully. Treat your brain kindly. Do not overwork your brain. Give it enough rest. Nourish it with a healthy diet and keep it free from mind-altering substances. Lastly, we have retrieve. So how to retrieve what you learned from exams? Use retrieval cues. Some of the questions on the test might help jog your memory for the answer to others. Next, sit back, deep breath, and stay calm. Bolster your confidence when recalling. The material that you've committed to memory is there for a long time, so give yourself some time to recall it, especially in times of panicking. So, that concludes tips to strengthen our memory for studies and for life. Memory plays a vital role in our daily lives. Now that we've learned the processes of memory and how to fully utilize it, we should now start finding ways to strengthen our memory and keep it sharp, as memory gets weaker as we age. We thank you for listening to us, and goodbye.